seriously, what year is it? This Laker team, if they were constructed this way around 8 years ago, this team would be awesome. But here in 2021, it has not looked good. They're sitting at 5-5, which is good enough for 10th in the West. Um, it's just been a disaster, kind of no matter how you put it. The Russell Westbrook acquisition, at least thus far, has been a complete train wreck. I mean, he's shooting 40% overall on field goals, 25% on threes, and he's shooting way too many of them. 60% at the line, not great. 5 turnovers a game and 8 assists. I mean, I'm not thrilled with the 5 turnovers. He just looks completely lost out there with this team, and like he has no idea what to do. I watched them in the Warriors game opening night when LeBron was still there. He just looked confused. I mean, they were better with him off the floor. It's very weird. I guess it's going to take some time adjusting to like the new style of play. But even in the Portland game last night, no LeBron. And then no AD. He started the game, but then had some stomach issues, I guess. So he sat out the rest of the game. You know, prime like takeover time for Russell Westbrook. You would expect him to just be Superman out there, like he, had been for the Thunder and last year with the Wizards. He was, down the stretch of that season, he was awesome for them and really took over. Not the case last night. He was terrible, and he still looked completely lost, like he had no idea what he was doing. It's very bizarre. I only watched the first half of that game because they were basically like dumping it into Melo in the post was like the offense, and like letting him isolate. He's Melo's been surprisingly like really good, and he's one of their most important players, which is not something I would have expected to say at the beginning of the season, but he's been awesome for them, and he's might be their most important player outside of LeBron and AD right now. But I can only watch so many like Melo post ISOs at this stage in his career. I can only stomach so many of those. Neither team was playing particularly well last night. Yeah, it's just not working. I think going forward for the Russ thing to work out like as well as it can, he's going to have to go back to being just an awesome defensive player, like sort of like he was for Team USA in the 2012 Olympics, I believe, where he just kind of come in off the bench and just pick guys up full court and just kind of overwhelm them with his athleticism. I think it would be cool to see him do that, because I don't really know that they need the scoring punch as much as they need like some help on defense. Like they're 26th in the league right now in points allowed. And even last year when they were missing AD, Frank Vogel was able to kind of cobble together a decent defensive team. This year, it's not been the case. I mean, without these guys, they're struggling defensively. And even with them on the floor, it's not been great. I don't know how they improve from here. I really don't. They've got to get a bunch of guys on prove it to me contracts. I guess if you were feeling optimistic about the way this is going, they have not had Taylor Horton Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, or Trevor Ariza. Looks like it's still going to be a while for those three guys. Unfortunately, I don't think that any of those guys are going to save the team. Ariza is ancient at this point. He's not. He's still solid on defense, and he can hit some threes still. But, last year in Miami, I had a chance to watch him an awful lot, and he's just not the primary defender. Like, he's not going to be able to guard the best player night after night anymore, effectively, at least at this stage in his career. Unfortunately, with this team, that's kind of going to be what he has to do, unless we go to a world where Russell Westbrook just decides like, hey, you know what, forget my offense. I'm just going to be awesome on defense, which he could do, but he kind of is what he is at this point, and he's not very good on defense. He kind of just doesn't pay attention. I mean, guys backdoor all over him, and it's just weird because he athletically, he should not be having those issues. And earlier in his career, he didn't have those issues. I did see a lone bright spot for them last night. Austin Reeves, the rookie, he's doing a pretty good Alex Caruso impersonation. I mean, it's obviously not as good, but like he could maybe be something fun for them. I really don't see how they improve the roster though. because I don't think they're going to get much from Russell Westbrook, given the if they decided they wanted to pull the plug on that. We've seen kind of LeBron teams do that. I'm thinking of the 2018 Cavs more specifically, where they had like Dwayne Wade and Isaiah Thomas and like Derrick Rose and some other guy, Jay Crowder, to start the year, and then the team by the time we got to the playoffs was just completely different. It kind of looks like that might have to be what happens here. They might have to take on some bad salaries to make that happen, and just kind of use these expiring contracts they have to get other teams out of bad contracts to get like, and just say, forget that this guy's on a bad contract. He can help us win. I really think that that's going to be kind of the only way, but still, it's going to be tough for them to kind of do anything roster shakeup wise. The Dwight, DeAndre Jordan thing isn't really working as a center tandem. I'm not surprised. I looked at that as a pretty big weakness for them. I had AD as picked him as defensive player of the year, just out of kind of necessity for them. They didn't have a lot of good defensive players, and relying on Dwight and Jordan at this stage in their careers as your center, as your defensive anchors, it's just not working. AD is probably going to have to play a lot more center than he wants to, and kind of with his health issues, this may be a real disaster. I'm not feeling very good about my Lakers as the Western Conference champions pick, but I don't know. It's still early. Maybe they can get it together. Maybe they can figure it out, but it's not looked good.